Welcome, everyone. This is the January 24th edition of the NCAA Basketball Daily Dime Show, powered by the Predictive Playbook and presented to you by SportsMemo TV. And I believe strongly that I have you more than covered with two solid games that Dr. Chuck and I are going to break down and also give you at least a lean, if not a best bet, in each one of them. And the good news is the first game starts at 8 o'clock tonight, and that is the Virginia Tech Hokies. They're 13th in the ACC. On the road against the North Carolina Tar Heels, who are 6th in the ACC with a 12-6 record. They're 7-11 against the spread, 9-8-1 push over under, undefeated 9-0 at home. As a favorite, they're 11-2 straight up. Money line, which is straight up record for the Hokies, 10-8, 9-9 against the spread, 7-10-1 over under, 3-4 on the road, 1-3 as an underdog, and that's exactly what Virginia Tech is in this game. I am a little bit surprised that they are only an underdog of 4.5 points with the Tar Heels at 12-6 and undefeated at home. The over-under is lined at current price of 140.5. Virginia Tech is 3-7, 4-6 against the spread, 4-6 over under their last 10 games. They're off a 68-63 loss as a 6-point road favorite to Boston College. UNC, a little bit better here, 6-4 straight up the last 10, but 4-6 against the number, 4-5-1 over under, and they're coming off back-to-back losses, Dr. Chuck, losing at home. Losing on the road at Wake Forest and at Miami. They were absolutely hammered by both games. 98-76 Wake Forest win, Miami 85-57. Tell me what's wrong with the North Carolina Tar Heels, or better yet, are they of value now that they've been beaten up so badly?
Well, you brought up a couple of things that I wanted to discuss, which is line's a little fishy, right? So, when people think UNC, they think, right, they're undefeated at home, have looked much better at home, go on the road, and where they're 3-6 and have looked as bad as they could look, when they played Larinagas Canes. I know you discussed that game I was thinking the same thing that day. All right, Carolina's going to right the ship a little bit. And what they did was they just allowed the opponent to do whatever they wanted on offense, which they followed that up by doing the same thing when they went down the road to play Wake Forest. And the offense improved only a little bit from there, and now they are back home, and we expect them to be laying more points because they haven't lost at home against a Virginia Tech team that just lost to Boston College in a down ACC year where we're getting two teams that we expected more from, even though it was going to be fewer teams making this tournament. Losing to Boston College, what's that like? Getting beat by 30 by the Canes. These two teams need this game like blood, and when you look, I always like to break this down into last three, sometimes last five. And both these teams, last five are 2-3 straight up. And they haven't in the box score been as bad as it appeared. But what's weird is Carolina is just letting everybody do whatever they want on offense. And when people think of Virginia Tech, it's the slowest team, one of the slowest teams. They're like trying to be even slower than Tony Bennett's Cavaliers inside that state. Mike Young's version of this offense is to grind out, use almost all 30 seconds of the play of the shot clock, and then try to make the opponent do the same. Well, Carolina doesn't do that, and Carolina allows open shots. And I would challenge Mike Young's team off a loss to not take open threes. They're an amazing three-point shooting team. Even in this 2-3 stretch, they're still shooting almost 40%. And Carolina's a really good three-point shooting team too, but they haven't shown it. Caleb Love and RJ Davis are like 4 for their last 19 in these last two losses. And that's why they couldn't keep up. But what's even crazier is neither of these offenses turn the ball over, which is good for an over. Neither of these teams are going to force a lot of turnovers, and they especially haven't lately. They both shoot well. Carolina hasn't, but they can. And Virginia Tech isn't exactly the staunchest defense. And Virginia Tech has an effective field goal percentage in the top 40 in the nation, even though they only average 60 possessions a game. If you score on these possessions, you can get to this point where over a 140 isn't that tough. And so I like both these teams to be able to just, I like the Hokies to turn the script on Hoover Davis and run. not run necessarily, but take shots. They don't have to run the shot clock just because they can. And I just think that this should have been 145, and then it ticked down a little bit from the 141. I put this out last night for my premium clients, and so I like anything you can get in that over range. I think the line's a little fishy because I would have played North Carolina thinking, I know this is funny, we talk about this all the time, thought it would be 6, maybe even 6.5. So I don't know. I guess maybe they think Virginia Tech's going to put up 70, 75, or maybe as many as what they've seen. They're as good of an offense as what Miami, Kentucky, Wake Forest all did to Carolina, and Wake Forest and Kentucky almost put up 100. So I don't think it's going to be all that difficult to get to that number. And one final thing, as far as like positive regression for our side, they got beat by 20-some by Wake Forest, but they had 23 offensive rebounds and they couldn't convert any of them. And so that's just not going to likely happen. They're really good on that offensive glass, and Baycott should be able to score inside. And I think this is 140 at the under 4. And I know that that's contrarian with a Virginia Tech team, but I just think that there's a lot of value on this over.
And I agree with you, Dr. Chuck. I can add some fuel to the fire here. North Carolina in home games coming off a double-digit road loss. They are 22-6-1. That's to the over, not ATS, but the over. And that's pretty darn good. That comes out to just, pretty darn close to 80% winners over the last 15 seasons. So I like the breakdown quite a bit that you just did, and I also like the idea that North Carolina has to regain the focus, getting destroyed. And like you said, they were high-scoring affairs. They weren't playing defense, weren't making threes, weren't taking advantage of their immense amount of second-chance scoring opportunities. And I do agree. I think this game, it does go over the total quite easily. And, for those that like team totals, it's 67.5 right now for Virginia Tech at Pinnacle, 72.5 for the Tar Heels. And I think, reading between the lines of what Dr. Chuck said, I think over in the Virginia Tech 67.5, I prefer more than the Tar Heels. So that's great stuff. I'm definitely going to the window with the over on this matchup. And the second game that we're going to be looking at here is out west in the Pac-12. And it is the Arizona State Sun Devils taking on the USC Trojans. And just getting my notes pulled up here real quick, Dr. Chuck.
Well, I don't know which side you're going yet, but I love me a good dumpster fire team, and so
That's so true. This game is the last one on the card. It's one of 2 games on the Monday card that involve ranked opponents. The other one is Texas Tech, number 14, at Kansas, number 5. That's going to be a raucous crowd there in Kansas for sure. This one might be a little more subdued because Arizona State is a struggling team. They're 2-3 away, 6-10 on the season. USC is number 15 in the country, and personally, I think they're actually better than that. And the polls are the polls. It's week to week. What have you done? Recency bias, and they're more or less worthless for professional sports bettors like ourselves. But they are 10-8 against the spread with a 16-2 straight-up record, 9-9 over/under, 7-1 at home, 14-2 as a favorite, and they are a big favorite in this one. Over/under in the ASU games has gone 4-12. They're 6-9-1 against the spread, and they're not a good team. I say that with all due respect. I say that because I had a son that played college sports. And it doesn't matter what team they're on when you're a parent. You're just proud of them. And the season record, you hope they get 500 or better. But sometimes a very good, state-honored athlete will get on a team like an Arizona State is in basketball, and they just struggle. And that's the whole, evolution of you go up each level from, playing as a ninth grader to high school, then to college, and then you make the big leap to the NBA. There's fewer and fewer names that reach those higher and higher levels. So, anybody that plays Division I sports is very good in the first place. So that's my little rant on that today on Monday, little digression. But Dr. Chuck, I think the play here is either the under or the side. I like both of them pretty equally right now. USC has advantages across the board. They're not a team that is going to run you off the court. They rank 100th in the nation out of 358 Division I basketball programs, taking 60.3 field goals per attempt. That is going up against a slightly faster Arizona State team that ranks 87th, taking 60.6 shots per game. But the field goal percentage by the Trojans is very efficient. They are a very efficient offensive team, and I have them ranking a lot higher nationally than what you'll see in the popular websites that carry these statistics for us. They're making 47.4% of their field goal attempts against a Arizona State Sun Devil team making 39.6%. USC is almost shooting just as well from three-point range as Arizona State does overall. And I see a huge advantage in this game from top to bottom. USC has tremendous length with their 5 starters. Arizona State does not have any way to match that. So I do like USC here minus the 11 points. And I guess I would lean towards the under. What are your thoughts here on this matchup, Dr. Chuck?
Well, and you mentioned it at the early part of the breakdown. I think in 16, did you say they're 12-4 to the under? The Sun Devils are. And that's right. Just kind of what it's looked like for Bobby Hurley this year. It just hasn't. I don't want it to cost him his job because so much crap has happened with the COVID and his own COVID and Bagley and just the insanity that has become this team that had so much promise just a couple of seasons ago. And, but like you said, this USC team, I've backed them multiple times. And not only are they extremely efficient on offense, they're fantastic on defense. And that just does not bode well for a team coming in shooting 39%. So, it's a big hill to climb either way. And with the health of the Sun Devils on a regular basis, I like the under in most anytime the Sun Devils are taking the court, if it's home or away, just for the mere fact that, like we said with Virginia Tech, they're really slow, but they're efficient. Sun Devils are slow and inefficient. And, it's a contrasting styles here. And that's why you're not going to get, you're not going to get a juicy total in the USC game. And what did you say this one is? It's, I can't remember what it is comparing this, but
it is 134.5.
Yeah.
So you definitely lean to the under. I agree. Yeah, so we got 2 bets here. We're going to take the over in the Virginia Tech UNC game, which I am taking to the window. And I am going to play USC as a double-digit favorite here, minus 11. I probably wouldn't play it if it creeps up to 12.5 as a ceiling. But including 12.5, I would play it. And I think that's all we have for the show today, guys. So, Dr. Chuck, thank you, as always, for your time and your expertise, and your sports betting intelligence is immense. It's amazing some of the stuff that you talk about in your breakdowns. And thanks to everyone out there in the TV land watching our shows. We really appreciate it. Take a moment and subscribe. It takes like 2 seconds. Hammer the bell and never miss another show that we produce in all sports at SportsMemo TV. So have yourself a great Monday in the sports betting markets, and we'll see you again tomorrow with another edition of the Daily Dime Betting Show. So until then, bet with your head and not over it, and may all the wins be yours.